Well, we ain't stopped talking about it. Declan Rice, will he go to Arsenal? Will he go to Man City? Welcome to Friday Night Pint. The one thing we do need to do, in my opinion, is get it done and dusted and get our rebuilding done. But welcome along to Friday Night Pint. Now, it's a very special Friday Night Pint tonight. You can see there's only two of us. And what we've done is we've reduced it to us two because it is an interactive version of Friday Night Pint. So if you want to come in and have a drink with us, let me know. We're going to send you some links in the description. We've got one subject to talk about. We're going to talk about that. And then after that, we're going to invite you in. Come and talk to us about anything you want to go. If you want to talk about the Conference League, if you want to talk about the Premier League, if you want to talk about signings, if you want to talk about Declan Rice, whatever you want to talk about, let me know. And I'm going to leave a link, an invite link, and we'll get you on the show. No shooting you willy or nothing silly like that. Otherwise, we'll have to chuck everyone off. But
that was my party trick. I was going to do that in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, but if you want to get involved, we will. The cat's gone right in front of the light. Fuck off. We will get you involved. So, right. Why ain't been this week, mate?
Yeah, all right, mate. I'll be honest. I've had better weeks, but listen, I'm still smiling. Yeah, on Friday Night Pint, a bit different tonight. Looking forward to it. We're going to be like West Ham agony aunts for the next hour.
Absolutely.
So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, what have you been up to this week? Anything?
No, not much really, mate. Job searching, one of them, but yeah, not much. Just enjoying life. After booze, I've got orange and lemonade tonight. I'm trying to cut back on the booze a bit. I've been hitting it hard the last couple of months, especially with the football. I still think I'm pissing out the booze from Prague, which was over 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm just trying to get my life back on track. And yeah, you all right though?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah. I've had a little bit of ill health this week, but yeah, I've been all right. Not too bad, but yeah. I've been winding up Arsenal fans all week, right?
That ain't hard to do, mate.
Huh?
That ain't hard to do. You've only got to say hello to them and they get wound up. What are you talking to me like that for? You can't talk to me like that. We finished second.
Yeah, we're the Arsenal. We're back.
We're the mighty Arsenal. How dare you talk to me in the street?
Yeah.
I see the video that you've done with is it Lee Gunner or
Gunnar Lee?
Gunnar Lee. Well, less I say about that, the better. Really, I don't know how you kept your cool, mate. That was hard to watch, and I weren't even in the room. Like, yeah. I'm glad I weren't in the room because I think we would have been nibble and sipping, tag teaming up, mate. Because he's a big bloke, so they probably needed two of us.
He's a big guy, but yeah, you always know when in a video when I'm wound up, my eyes go wide.
Yeah, I know. That's why I know because I've known you so long, so I know where you get wound up. And there was a bit of me that was laughing, but then there was a bit of me thinking, "Oh, I wish I was there." But yeah, look, listen, I'm all for football banter and that, but when people get disrespectful like that, it really grates me because you can banter football clubs, but listen, I've got a lot of respect for Arsenal, their history. I've got a lot of respect. I would never slate any football club personally. Like, listen, West Ham have been around a lot longer than him, and they'll be around a lot longer after all of us are gone, unless we get wound up in the next couple of years. But yeah, it's just disrespectful. Like, you can have your banter, you can have your opinions, but don't get personal because the way I see it is if you look at our records over the last couple of seasons, we finished above them, didn't we, the other year? We've won a trophy, and we got to the semi-final of Europa League last season. So we ain't had a bad few years. So where he was coming from, I don't know. I think the heat got to him a bit.
I think it's lawless. I think he gets to everyone a little bit, to be honest.
I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed in Robbie as well because Robbie on that show was very respectful to West Ham. And then the next day I see him do a video and he was really slating us, saying like we're celebrating, bearing in mind we ain't won a trophy for 43 years. We're celebrating like we've won 2 Champions Leagues. Well, maybe we should ask him what it's like to win a Champions League because I don't think he knows what it's like to win a Champions League, does he?
No, he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so have a little bit of respect. Come on, Robbie, you're better than that, man.
Yeah, there we go. But come on, let's get this elephant out of the room. All eyes are on Declan Rice. All eyes are on what he's going to do. Now, I'll tell you one thing that he has done, right? He has took West Ham United out of his profile and his Twitter profile. So he used to say captain of West Ham United in England. He's deleted all of that now, and it just says his sort of contact details for for inquiries and stuff. So look, we can all agree that he's moving, right? We've been sort of on the cusp of accepting that fact for a couple of years now, right? We knew he wasn't going to be with us. He's had a sort of a fairy tale end to his West Ham career. Listen, in an ideal world, he stays, and he comes on to be the next Martin Noble, the next the next Bobby Moore. But we're living in this modern world now, and we just know that we the way that football's gone, we can't match ambitions, and it is what it is, right? So we've all accepted that he's going. Now, Arsenal thought they had it wrapped up. They thought they was going to be rubbing it in people's faces. Then all of a sudden it comes along and there's, a couple more clubs got involved, which, we knew they would. It's just the Arsenal fans. Now, there's Arsenal fans saying that we quoted him 80 million and then we've gone back on our word. I don't know how anybody would know that, because we haven't been speaking about transfers until after the Prague saga. So there's a bit of debacle whether he will go. Now, where he will go, I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. All I know that he's not going to be playing for West Ham. So is he going to Man City? Is he going to Man United? Is he going to Arsenal? All of these clubs are involved now. Is there a place, Ryan, and I'll ask the chat as well, where you would rather him play his football next year?
Yeah, on the moon. As long as he don't come back to West Ham and haunt us. But no, look, it's good for us because it's what we want. It's what we want. We want clubs bidding against each other because the price goes up. If it was only Arsenal interested, then we would probably have to lower our price. We would have to do that. But no, I don't want to see him play for anyone apart from West Ham. But as you said, mate, we know he's got to move on. He's had a great short career at West Ham. He's done something that a captain of West Ham hasn't done for 43 years and lift a trophy. So he'll always be remembered for that. When people say about legend, I think that's a bit too much to say. I can't put him up there with the likes of Bonds, Moore, Brooking. I can't put him in that category. They're icons for the club. But modern day, yeah. But he'll always get respect when he comes back to West Ham, unless he starts kissing the badge of the other team wherever he goes, which I can't see him doing. I wish him well. I want to see him succeeding. I'm just ashamed it's not going to be in a West Ham shirt. But for me, I'd rather see him go Man City than Arsenal.
Why?
I just think it's a better option for his football career. I think Arsenal, Arsenal are a good football team. They're a young, ambitious football team. And Rice would probably fit in perfectly there. But if you want to win trophies season after season, that's going to happen at City. He's just watched what a few of his England teammates have done. Grealish, Foden, Phillips, Stones. They just won the treble. And I'm sure they would have been in his ear in the England training camp and saying, look, come and join us. We're going to do this every season. And a chance to play under Pep Guardiola. That's like back in the days when people used to get the chance to play under Ferguson. You couldn't turn that down. You just need to play for top managers, top clubs. And I just think it'd be a better fit for him, for his football career.
No, I agree with you. The thing is, if you get this premise that he wants to go and win trophies. Now he's won a trophy with us, no matter what people will say about that trophy and what people call that trophy. He's won a trophy. That's as simple as that. Now, if the premise is I've got to leave West Ham because I've got to win trophies, now I'll stand by this and I'll stand by it forever. Yeah, one swallow does not a summer make, is the old saying. Arsenal they was brilliant last year. Don't get me wrong, but it's you have to show consistency year after year after year. Man United have finished second in the last few years under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and under Jose Mourinho. It doesn't mean they was back. There is a powerhouse, a titan right now that are swallowing up all the trophies, and I think they'll continue to swallow up all the trophies for a long time. So if the premise is I want to win trophies, and that is why I've got to leave West Ham United, fine. I've got nothing against him for that. But now, if the choice comes down to Arsenal or Manchester City, now two good clubs, two big clubs, two clubs that have been in the running for trophies, but there's only one club that won all the trophies, and that's Manchester City. So if Manchester City come calling, for me, if that is your premise, if that is your reason that you want to leave, there is no other choice. And we always knew that Man City would come calling, because good footballers attract good managers. And Pep Guardiola at the moment, there's no doubt about it, is the best manager in the world. He's made he's made average players brilliant, and he's made brilliant players world class. And to learn your football under him, it would be, a madman. There used to be that that saying, if Madrid come knocking, you don't not answer the door. And this is becoming the same as Manchester City right now. So if he wants to win trophies, Manchester City. If he wants to be part of a project and try and win trophies, then it's Arsenal. So, listen, I think wherever he goes, they'll be very, very lucky to get him. But what I would say, Ryan, is let's get it out of the way now. The bids are coming in. I think the 2 bids from Arsenal were, I think that was a bit insulting, really, in terms of, and we've had a go out of our own.
I know that was a bit insulting, but don't you think Sullivan's been played at his own games? Because it's only what we've seen him do with transfers over the last 2 years.
That's what I said. Like, we call we call a kettle black here, and like at the end of the day, it is what Sullivan has done in the past. Undercut. Sullivan is getting a taste of his own medicine. But it's not so much, I don't think so much the price. 90, 100 to 110 million is around the price that we'll sell him for. It's the deal. Arsenal want him on a fucking Argos buy now, pay later sort of store card fucking terms, which is not, it doesn't do us any favours. And that's what the trap Arsenal fans have fell into, is thinking, why shouldn't you accept that? Well, we accept what we accept. If it ain't the fucking money that we want, we won't sell him. He's still got 2 years on his contract. But I'm getting to the point now, mate, where it's the end of June nearly, and the boys are going to be coming back to pre-season very, very soon. Get him out the door. If he doesn't want to be there, get him out the door. Get them terms and conditions sorted out with whoever it is. And we need to start rebuilding ourselves, because it's going to take a lot of scouting.
I want to hear from Declan Rice as well, because we haven't heard nothing. As you said, mate, he's still got 2 years on his contract, and I think there's going to be a bit of a twist. I think there's going to be other clubs. I think Chelsea are going to come in as well in the next week, so he'll have his options. But like, if they can't be in agreement, then he stays at West Ham for at least another season.
I think he will as well.
It'll drive his price down a bit. But one thing I will say about Declan Rice is that, and he's always said it, he wants what's best for not only himself, but for West Ham. So he wants the best deal for West Ham. So I can't see him trying to force a move. I mean, we had Danny Murphy on TalkSport the other day. I mean, that bloke's an embarrassment. For what is it with these retired players now turning around telling youngsters to go on strike, force a move? How disrespectful is that? Not only to West Ham, but to Declan Rice as well, to think that he's that sort of player. I just don't like that sort of stuff. Why
would he go on strike?
He don't need to go on strike.
We've said we're selling him.
If he turned round and said, like, I'm not playing for West Ham no more, that's not going to happen. He's not going to sit in the reserves. He will play for West Ham until the day he's released on a free. I've got no doubts about that, about Declan Rice. I just want to hear from him, really. I just want to see what he's got to say. I want him to come out and at least make a statement and say, like, yeah, like, I want to leave, because he hasn't actually said it, has he? He talks in riddles. And I know it's hard to do sometimes. He's got to be professional, but it's the end of the season now. So just come out, say it, say where you want to go, get the deal done, out the door, and we can start rebuilding our midfield and rebuilding our team, because we've got a project as well. It might not be as big as project as Arsenal and City and the likes of that, but we've got a project. We're building a good team. Next season, Paquetá, he's going to be, I said it yesterday, I think that next season, he won't be as good as, but he'll be on the same par as what Pint was for us a few seasons ago. I can see that from him. He's got that in him. And if we can build around him, and if we're talking about bringing in like the likes of Ward-Prowse and McTominay, them two and Paquetá together could be a really good midfield. And as much as we love Declan Rice and we'll miss him, we could build and be bigger and better without Declan Rice. So we don't want these players to leave our football club, but football goes on, we move on, and we'll come again.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments here. There's a few people I think wanting to join. And we'll get the first one in soon. But let's take a few comments from this one, and then we'll go down whatever path you want. As an Arsenal fan in your sanctuary guard at West Ham TV, Rice will go to Man City, says Jake Hammond. Can't see why he loves Arsenal so much. He goes where the deal suits us, but if he wants to win things, then City is the best choice, surely. Yeah, absolutely. Bayern Munich, to be fair, but I'd rather him go to Man City than Arsenal. Our West Ham fan TV fam, how we doing? Miss Amaret's in the house. She'll be looking after things for us, so don't get too rude, otherwise you'll be chucked right out. Mike WHU say, I can see him kissing the badge of another club. His modern footballers did the same for Ireland. Listen, if he goes to somewhere and he kisses the badge, it doesn't matter nowadays, does it? Declan Rice is not a legend. He's more of a hero, in my opinion. 6 or 7 years is nothing. I hope he goes to City all day. Paolo was only about 6 years. No, Paolo was less than that.
Yeah, but Paolo's Paolo.
Hope he goes to City all day. Couldn't stomach him at Arsenal. Couldn't stomach him at Arsenal. Oh, right. You wouldn't want to see him at Arsenal. Plus, he'll definitely win trophies there. Couldn't care where he goes once he leaves West Ham. He's out of sight, out of mind. Love what he's done for us, though. Absolutely, mate. Do West Ham fans hate City like other fans do? No, I think it's quite the opposite, to be quite honest with you. Whoever we go to buy will be expensive, as other clubs know we're out to replace Rice. I mean, that is a good point, Roy. Polinia over at Fulham, we're looking at him as a replacement. 28 years old. They wanted £90 million for him. Have we been played our own game?
Yeah, that's because they know we've got the money. But Fulham might need the money. So, look, there's a lot of journalists at the moment on Twitter that are all in the know, and they're just putting out these transfer fees and making it up. Like 90 million for him, no chance West Ham are going to pay that. If we just sold a 23-year-old for 100 million, we're not going to pay 90 million for a 28-year-old.
No, absolutely not. I like buying. It's like buying the house, and the owner will sell at the price he or she wants. Says Liam K, 1998. And a date says Phillips is reluctant to leave anyhow. I think that's, I'll take him, right? Calvin Phillips, very injury prone though. Reluctant to leave anyhow. I hate player swaps in transfers. The player being swapped is just a pawn in a business deal and hardly works out on the pitch. Please not Arsenal. Come on, City, blow them out of the water. We'll never hear the end of it, especially if our team, as our team is shite. No, we're not shite. The problem is, if rumours are true, he wants to go to Arsenal, they will have to sell him to Arsenal. Well, if they have to sell him to Arsenal, they have to sell him to Arsenal, but just get the money that you want for him. Might be wrong, but it might take. I would take Mason Greenwood, worth a gamble. That geezer shouldn't even be fucking playing football. Playing for West Ham. Gary Manning says might as well be Celtic. Frankie said he said I want to win. It would be horrible to see him win nothing at Arsenal. If you want to win, it's City or stay and be a legend. Why risk losing what you have at West Ham, maybe for guarantees only? If Deckers goes to Arsenal, £100 million and no add-ons, can see Arsenal getting the top 6. Souness was talking shit about him again also. I think the whole media want him to go to one place, I think. I have a lot of respect for Declan Rice and will do his best for your club, says Liam K. Absolutely. And Harry Flower says, I remember Pep as a player, pure class personified. He also played in the same position as Declan. So for me, he'd grow under a master and guaranteed silverware. Now, we're waiting to get James Sneddon in the background, but all I can see him doing is he's running around. I think he's having a little run or something. He needs to settle down before we can get to him. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit ropey, the connection. So when you're ready, James... You can hear me, yeah?
Oh,
right,
he's over then.
Yeah. Okay. Right, here we go. This is caller. Well, say caller number 1. James is going to join us for a pint. Anything you want to say, James? No problem. Ready? There you go.
Right,
how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
I'm all right. You?
Yeah, not too bad.
Right, what direction we going down to then, mate?
Just talking about all this Rice stuff. Here where I live in Vancouver, I wake up every single morning and I see different news about him. Is he going Bayern Munich? Is he going Real Madrid? Is he going Arsenal? Is he going Man City? I don't know what to believe right now. I've accepted and resigned to the fact that we are going to lose him. And it's probably the only one time where I'm actually okay with the player leaving on the condition that he go to the right club. And the right club, I think, for him is Manchester City for a few reasons. Logistically, it makes more sense because he's staying in the UK. He's going to be able to finally get the respect I think he deserves if he goes to a team like Manchester City or Arsenal. You know, we've had fans of other teams saying things like Ndidi, Xhaka, whoever is better than Rice. And then they end up just getting shut up because those are stupid claims to make. We get... for him, we get about 100 million and we can reinvest it properly into the squad. With Stein coming as a director of football, supposedly. It means that money can, I think, be spent wisely. I don't really want to see any more 30-plus players come in, especially not like a 90 million on Paulinho or something like that. But what I'm trying to say is I just think I'm resigned to losing Deck, but I'll always respect him. I think he deserves to go on to bigger and better things, and he can look back at West Ham with very fond memories, and he bowed out in the best way possible by winning silverware.
Is there any part of you that is a bit? There's a couple now saying they're upset. They're upset with his family. They're upset with the fact that they think he's been talking to Arsenal. They're upset with this. They're upset with that. Is there any part of you that's upset? For me, no, I'm not upset with him at all.
No, I agree with that. I'm not. It's not being upset. It's not about showing any malice towards him because he's not doing anything wrong. I mean, if he's just going for the betterment of his career, what's he actually doing wrong? Like, you know, I moved to another country to look for better opportunities. He's moving to another club to improve himself so he can win silverware. So he's got a basis at West Ham and he's managed to prove himself there. He can now prove himself in the bigger stage, maybe even the European one. It's not a malice thing at all. It's just he's looking for the right direction for his future, and it's a big deal. You know, does he choose between Arsenal and Manchester City? There are a lot of discussions that have got to take place with him and his family. It's just about finding the right one, and that's how he's going to find out where to go next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I also think it'll be a good thing if he does go to get out of London as well, move up to Manchester, different lifestyle up there. I think he'll adapt to Manchester City's team without. The only thing I worry about with Declan Rice is that when he plays, it's not often, but when he plays bad for West Ham, it goes unnoticed, and the fans sort of let him off. You make a mistake when you're playing for Manchester City, the media, the fans, you know, they'll be on top of him. So he's got around in that pressure as well. So that's the next step of his career. He's played on the big scene with England as well, so he's used to that in a way. But West Ham fans forgive him if he makes mistakes. But you make mistakes in the top four teams, the media are on you.
Yes. That's something that's going to come with it. That's an extra badge that he's got to deal with. I did say get the respect you get if he was fully deserves if he's playing for a top four club. But with that comes the consistent performances. He's got to perform well in front of arguably could be seen as more fans watching worldwide with Manchester City and Arsenal, given what the past histories. And you know, he's going to have that probably a little, like I say, additional pressure on him. So he's got to thrive with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Patterson makes a good argument here. Rice turned down a new contract 18 months ago, so we definitely have a few replacements lined up.
Yeah.
Now, the problem we've got, I think, as well, with the Rice departure is not only do we have to replace him on a pitch, he's also our club captain. So we have to find a new captain. Who would you want to see become the captain of the club?
Agaird's my front runner because he's multilingual and he's got a leadership at the back strength.
I said exactly the same. He was my choice. I think he'd be a perfect captain for West Ham.
Yeah, he would.
I think he's a leader. You see that last season, especially towards the end. And I think he will keep that dressing room together because losing Rice is going to have a big impact on that dressing room. You see how close they are in the videos that went round when we won the semis and the final. So we need, as Nicky said, we do if we get rid of Rice, we need to bring players in that are leaders as well. So I think a Ward Prowse would be a good choice for West Ham because he's a captain, he's a leader. It's about getting players like that and getting keeping the dressing room together.
We need to keep the dressing room tight as well because the chemistry starts in the dressing room. If that falls apart, how's it going to transcend on the pitch? We had Noble keep everything neat and tidy. We had Declan keeping the good vibes up. So we just need now someone to keep things resolute while being themselves and just running a tight ship when need be.
Absolutely. Let me just take this comment as well. I think that says Bottle Job.
Yeah, I'll have to shoot off in a second, by the way.
What's his name, right? Bottle Job?
Arsenal Joe.
Oh, I thought it said Bottle Job. You lot show up yourself now because you won a joke of a club, joke of a trophy. You lot are a joke. Listen, brother, you're not on AFTV now. Bottle Job. Fuck off out my stream. There you
Yeah,
go.
I got to shoot off now, guys. So thank you for having me on.
No
Yeah.
worries, mate. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you for
James.
joining us, mate.
He didn't want none of that smoke, I don't think. Yeah, thanks for that comment, Bottle Job. You won no trophies and you still were up yourself. So there we go. Let's get the next one on. Should we take some? No, let's take some comments first. Let me just have a quick look at that. Ryan and Nicky, Declan Rice moves abroad. Would you give the captain's armband to Flynn Downs? Fucking hell, I don't even think Flynn Downs
from what I read earlier, mate, Flynn Downs might be leaving the football club. Southampton are interested, and he could be going now, which will be. I know Scott would be crying if he's hearing that news now. He loves Flynn Downs, doesn't he? But he could be part of a deal to maybe use him to bring Ward-Prowse in.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Hammond, how do I join to talk to you? Just send us there's a message on Twitter with a little link to this description. Send us a message under there. We'll get you a link. Is this a calling show? It certainly is. Ryan and Nikki, if Declan, no, I just said that. Rice turned down a new contract 18 months ago, so should have definitely a few replacements lined up. I think I read that one out already. I've also read that one out already. Steve, let's get Steve in. Steve, are you ready, mate? Give us a little nod. Yeah. There we go. Steve, mate, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'd like to talk about something a bit different from Declan because it's a bit boring, to be honest with you.
Good.
I'd like to know how you feel about this director of football coming in. I'm quite pleased to hear that a director of football is coming in. I'm quite pleased that he's going to have a German background. I'll be honest with you, I watch a bit of the Bundesliga, and I think we can get good players there for decent prices. You know, I think we're going to need a couple in midfield. No one ever heard of a Gerd, did they, before he signed? Let's be honest about it.
No, yeah,
so I think
you're right.
Getting this guy in, there might be 2 or 3 out there that we can get in. You know, sell Declan for a bit of a profit, and then, you know, get 3 or 4 in for, say, 40, 50 million quid, and then you've still got 50 in the bank to spend. You know, you look at the guy that plays up front for Forest. They got him from Union Berlin. This is the sort of thing that we've got to do. These are the sort of things that Brighton and Brentford do. And they're minuscule compared to West Ham. So we have got to think smarter. Got to stop relying on Sullivan's agents, mates, and have a proper scouting network. So I'm quite looking forward to this guy coming in and see what he can do.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I don't really know much about him, but what I've read, and he could be, I think he's going to be good for West Ham. I think if he can work alongside David Moyes, you know, keep Sullivan away, and just let him get on with it, I think he could be a good fit for West Ham. And is it Leverkusen that he works?
Yeah.
So, and I know he's brought through a lot of players there, and he also appointed Xavi Alonso as manager. So
I'll tell you what, mate, 12 months' time, once Moyes' contract finishes, who's to say that Xabi Alonso don't walk in there?
I was thinking exactly the same thing, mate. If it don't go well 10 games into the season, we could be seeing him a lot sooner. But like you said, mate, he might know little gems out there that we've never seen play. Bring them over, and it could be perfect for West Ham. And we need some Germans at West Ham. They're built good. You know, they're good players technically. So let's go for it.
Yeah, I just think we've got to think a bit smarter. You know, instead of relying on agents, mates, let's build up a proper scouting network. Let's get someone in who has a knowledge of European leagues. And let's get some bargains in. Look at a boy that plays right-hand side for Brentford. Nobody ever heard of him.
Yeah.
If they
it seems to be a sort of a resource that, you know, untapped in recent years. You know, we've been doing a lot of exchanging. You've seen a big influx of English players going over to Germany of late. You know, since Jude Bellingham went over a few years ago, there seems to be a lot of this. I think our own Reece Oxford went over there, still playing out there now, I believe. So there's this sort of influx of English players going into the German league, and I think a lot of people are seeing it as an untapped resource. And I did say this a few months ago, saying that we have to find a new way to compete, because listen, you're not going to compete with the likes of Manchester City. You're not going to compete with the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal and all that with the money that they have. And I've said this, you know, we need to build a smarter network. Stop going for with all due respect to him, Danny Ings of this world, you know. Yeah, proven but past his best, and, you know, he could do a job for us. We need to find young players, you know. We need to find the likes of N'Golo Kantés of this world, and, you know, as you say, a few of the Brighton players, the the Caicedos and things
Yep.
like that. We need to get a resource where we're doing like that. Stop paying Sullivan's mates, as you say. And yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great shout. I'm looking forward to it. But the only thing I would say about that, Steve, is that no matter who we appoint, even when it comes down to the coaching stuff, Wally Downs come with good pedigree. It seems like he's sat on his arse for a couple of years and just collected a wage, and he's been ushered out the door. And there's a lot of people that we get in. The name sounds right, but they don't seem to ever make a difference. And I don't know whether it's I can't say that I can't say for sure whether it's people just coming in and taking it easy, or it's, people stifling what they're meant to be doing and not giving them the resources. But we need to be smarter by the way we do things.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, do you think Sullivan's sort of like overbearing presence puts downers on people? Because that would be my assumption, reading between the lines.
When you look at what we've had in and what's left, I would say there's been points where it was. I'm not too sure. I can't comment right now because I don't know what sort of input he has anymore, if he has any input at all. But you've got to assume, like back in the past, I think Allardyce has alluded to it. Has he changed his ways? A leopard's never changes his spots, in my opinion. But there is there is a time when we need to take a different direction, because we flirted after having a couple of good seasons and become very stable and becoming a good football team. We did flirt this season with the inevitable, with what seemed like the inevitable, and that was relegation. And we can't be doing that, especially when we ain't got people like Declan Rice pulling us out the fire. So yeah, we need to be smarter. We need to spend this money correctly, and we need to build.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I totally agree with all that.
And there is, listen, we've just won a trophy. We've got our third consecutive season of European football. There is a lot of positives at this club at the minute, Although the captain's been leaving, I think it's been known that he's going for a little while. There is still a lot of positives.
I've never known us to be so attractive to other players until now. And I've had a season ticket over there at 43 years. I've never known this club to be as attractive as it should be at this current moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
this is the time when we've really got to strike it home. We've really got to kick on.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. I agree with everything you said there. We are an attractive football club. Europa League's attractive. I mean, there'll have been players looking at what we achieved last season, looking at the fan base, thinking, yeah, I want to be part of that. Now, it's a great football club. And if whatever people think of Moyes, if he gets that team right and we get a few characters in there, we start playing well, I don't think we'll struggle next season. No, I think we'll be right up there. I think we need to take out the top five. We should be aiming to win that little mini league of trying to get in between 6th and 8th.
I think we should be. I think the club our size and what we have every week, we should be minimum top 8 every season. That should be the goal. Top 8 every season.
Totally,
without a shadow of a doubt.
Steve, let's take some comments just in case you want to answer any of these, mate. Just before you go, thanks for your contribution, by the way. Why do other fans come on our sites couldn't care less about any other sites? I'm interested in West Ham. Sorry, everyone else. So that one for you, mate. I'm sorry, boys, but Paqueta is Brazil's number 10. We've got to bring in players of this ilk or higher. James Ward-Prowse is bang average for me.
Yeah.
I agree with that, to be honest. I don't think he's average. I think he'll do very well with us.
Well, good set piece taker, but what else? What else?
That's where a lot of our goals come from over the last couple of seasons.
That's true. Yeah, fair point.
Rondo and Tony, Nicky, do you feel like this crazy football money bubble is anywhere near to bursting? Surely not sustainable for most clubs. What do you reckon about that, Steve? You got any opinion on that?
That's why we've got to think smarter. That's why we've got to get people to look at leagues that are lesser than England and pick out the talents in those leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. The director of football job remit needs clarification. Noble appointment went wrong because he wasn't allowed to be involved in anything. He threatened to resign.
Well, I think Noble should be involved with the kids and the youth setup, like installing the values that he may have and implement that with the kids. But is his knowledge going to be as good as this German guy coming in? Is he going to have the knowledge of all the leagues around Europe? I don't know.
I think
I
what
think
what
that-
what.
Yeah,
Go on,
Noble
mate.
could learn off of him, couldn't he? Noble could,
Yeah, of
could
course he
learn
could.
that because that could be a future role for Noble. I think
Yeah.
it was too much for Noble. They just wanted to get him back at the football club. But I agree with you. He should be working alongside Kenny Brown in the academy and getting that going because if you're a kid starting off at West Ham at the age of 8, you look at someone like Mark Noble and you want to inspire to have a career like him playing in the first team.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
he you know, the longevity that he's had at West Ham, he is that role model, isn't he?
Steve, thank you very much, mate. One more question before you go. This one comes from
Yeah.
Mel Bushby. I'll be honest, how many times you watched that Boeing go in the last 2?
I can never watch it enough. I think I've probably watched it about 50 times, I suppose.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to be honest.
Is that just today?
Yeah, it's just today.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be behind that goal that night, and I just have visions of that, just the ball nesting in the net. And I remember when the goal went in, I didn't celebrate. I looked at the lino, half expecting her to raise her flag. She didn't, and then I had this grey-haired geezer running across my eye line, and that being our manager. And then I knew we was all right. I knew we had a chance of winning the cup then.
You know what, right? That's exactly the same as me. That was exactly the same how I went.
See, I was different because I sort of knew that it was onside straight away because I went by the reaction of the bench and they was dead in line with it. So the way they reacted and run on the pitch, they was all in line with it. And I thought, it's a goal. I was just celebrating, just went mad, mate. Me and
see,
Nicky
the thing
cuddled
is
for
now,
about 2 minutes.
The thing is now, with the way modern football is and VAR, as soon as we score, the first thing I do now is look at a line-up.
Yeah,
that's what I do. That's the ruination of modern football. I look at the line-up.
Absolutely.
She probably didn't put her flag up because she didn't want 1,000 cups being chucked at her.
Yeah, it's probably right. Yeah,
she probably thought, "Fuck that, I'm running."
yeah, probably right. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, right? I must have watched that about the same amount as you, Steve. But I'll tell you what, I have watched more Lanzini goals because some of them are fucking pearlers.
Oh, mate, the one at Crystal Palace last season when he flicked it up with his right foot and volleyed it in with his left.
It's the noise that does me. You know, the fucking clink of the net as it goes in. But
the ping of the net.
Some bangers, didn't he? Like even ones that go on, like you don't really talk about, like that one at Man City away when he flicked it up and banged it in the top corner. Like, I scored that goal.
Yeah, terrific player.
Nice. He scored some absolute screamers. One at Chelsea. I remember one at Chelsea. One at home to Everton.
Yeah. The one against Everton was his first season, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his first season. And I'll tell you, there was one at Tottenham as well, which goes under the radar. And that's the one when we lost 4-1 and he scored the one.
Yeah.
And I think he does Carl Walker on the thingy with a little deft flick and then left foot right in the top corner. That was one of my favourite goals.
Yeah, and he also scored the goal that stopped him winning the league, which was sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Steve, thank you very much, mate.
No bother.
Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Any more comments before we get James in? How do you feel about Newman working with the German geezer? Would you keep him? I think he's done an excellent job. The recruitment won us a trophy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they work together. I mean, as you said, Newman brought in a few good players last season. So if we can build on that, and as Steve said, you tap into that German market and get some unknowns, they could become gems, jewels, diamonds.
Absolutely. Right, let's get James in. James, how you doing, mate?
All good, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All good, mate. All good. I've got to admit, Nicky, you've got patience of a saint having to deal with that geezer across the table the other week on AFTV. Because I'll tell you something there, mate, a lot of fans would have gone over the table and threw him everywhere. For me, I thought, obviously with Deck, it's a shame, but we've got to move on from that. We've got to look at it now for the future. But the problem I have is we've got a manager that's only got 12 months left. So how do we give this manager all this money when we don't even know if he's going to be the manager this time next year?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Like, you think that if they've got ambitions to keep David Moyes, you think they'll give him a new deal, like even if it's a 2-year deal or something. Because you're right, there might be players that want to play for David Moyes, but think to yourself, well, if he's going in 12 months, I don't want to commit to West Ham. So that is an issue that they need to sort out. But I think that he can still attract. West Ham can attract good players. Moyes, look, I know Moyes hasn't got a lot of fans out there. You know, there are some that like him, but I think what he done towards the end of last season, I think a lot of people sort of bought back into him a little bit. So we know he's going to be the Celtic job. I thought the only thing that would tempt him away from West Ham would be that Celtic job. That's gone to Brendan Rodgers. So he's still going to be our manager at the beginning of the season. Yes, just hope he gets the recruitment right. But I do understand what you're saying.
It's a nervy time, mate. Like, because this is the most money West Ham's ever going to have from a transfer. Like, in my opinion, I don't see us ever getting another £100 million player for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Unless we go out and start buying younger players, like the gentleman who come on previous said about like signing up younger players. The only problem is with Moyes, he don't really go with the youth. That's the only problem. Like, he's very reluctant to go with the youth. He likes tried and tested and proven players. You know what I'm saying? So for me, next season, if Moyes starts off slow and it ends up being a bit of a struggle at the start, he might not even be here by Christmas, because I don't think he can go down the same route he went last season in the Premier League.
I agree.
I was going to say that I think that they're probably looking at it thinking they're going to take it 10 games sort of at a time. So they'll give Moyes that first 10 games.
Yeah.
If we start off well and we win 4 or 5, they'll stick with it. We don't win for the first 5 games, I reckon he could be out the door by 10 games. I think they'll just they stuck with him last season because of Europe, because they didn't want to upset that. They didn't want to bring a new manager in. If we went out of Europe, it'd have been, everyone would have been going mad. But I think Moyes is under a lot more pressure this season, and they'll take it. They'll go first 10 games. If we ain't got the results, they'll get rid of him and get someone else in. And I think that director of football could have a big part of that.
It is a worry, like, because I'm not being funny enough. I think, like, if we're going to go out, who is signing these players in the summer then? Because if it is Moyes, and if Moyes is only going to be here for the next sort of, just say 6 months, then we're going to have to. We could have a new manager coming in with players he don't want, and then we've got it's like a major restructure of West Ham again, isn't it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? I personally think, right, if they're going to keep him, they're going to back him. They should just give him a year extension and give him 2 years, sort of thing, instead of giving him 1 year. Especially with the money that he's going to have. Like, he's got a lot of money at his disposal from this Declan Rice deal. Wherever Declan goes, it is what it is. But how we build now, because I do think West Ham need to go out and buy 5 or 6 players and strengthen the squad right up. So it's like we can be an established top 10 side, because we shouldn't be flirting with relegation, in my opinion.
I think there's still a lot of uncertainty. As I said before, the captain's going.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a chance for like a bit of a rebuild, like a whole overhaul.
Yeah.
So manager out, captain out, whatever players are leaving. But I think sometimes with football clubs, what you can find is that's a bit too much. Even like losing Noble last year was a little bit too much. And I think it sort of showed at the beginning of the season. A lot of money spent. Was it spent correctly? I'd say they tried to spend it correctly. It wasn't like we signed any, real duds. I think they signed smart players, but they just didn't work out. The only one I would question would have been Gianluca Scamacca. But, he's a quality player, Gianluca Scamacca, the same as Haller was, but he isn't working for Moyes, and this is why I lost patience with him, is the fact that, we can't keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that's what frustrated me with Moyes last season. So he needs to either, in the first sort of like 5 to 10 games next season, adapt to a new way of playing, adapt to a system where it suits a like a Scamacca and Paqueta. Because I'll tell you now, if he comes back and he's still with us next year, Lucas Paqueta Lucas Paqueta will be here, but, Gianluca Scamacca's still here next year. Them two could hit it off something chronic, them two, because he's a quality striker. And I've been told that by players, not just, fans that have seen him play. I'm talking about players that have played with him, have said he's top class. He's top class, and he should be in the side week in, week out. Questions about his attitude, but you need to find a way to play, and get a little bit of style going. We're too good now to be, this battering ram team that has to have Antonio and the likes of Antonio. Or if that's your style and you want that, go and get a younger Antonio. Go and get a younger, So an up and coming Antonio. Don't keep on relying on 33, 34-year-old Mikel Antonio, because these players are losing their, they're losing their pace, losing their abilities as years go on. So if that's the way you want to play, I think Nketiah is now sort of making noises about leaving Arsenal. He's similar sort of player. He could Adama Traore. There we go. There's a name in the thingy that someone that he can convert if that's what you want to do. But you're right. We can't be giving him that much money if there's uncertainty over him. And it is a big season, but I'm quite confident. We need to be, finding a new focal point of our team. Declan Rice has been the focal point. And he's going. So find a new focal point. For me, it's Paqueta, Scamacca, Aguerd. That's the spine.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, mate. I absolutely agree. I think now for Aguerd's quality. I think when we signed him for £30 million from French club Rennes, I think it was. Top player. I like him, and I think he's captain material for West Ham. I think he can speak multiple languages. He's very calm under pressure. I think people get on his back last season, but don't forget he started off with an injury at the start of the season. He got injured at the World Cup for Morocco, and he's had a bit of in and out. But there's times last season where he saved us. I remember Newcastle away when I think it was Wilson was running through and he got back and saved the day for us there. So I think now for Aguerd, obviously Paqueta are the major keys to West Ham at the minute, yeah. But it's just I'm not as optimistic as others. I think there's a lot of restructuring got to go going on at West Ham. I think we've got 3 strikers that we don't know which one of them is going to be here. We don't know whether Antonio's going to be here because he wants to be out. Scamacca, I rate Scamacca as much as you do, Nicky. But if you've got a manager that don't know how to get the best out of him, then we've got a problem, haven't we? We've got to, you know what I'm saying? So, and then you go down the line of sort of wingers. Like Arvid Barnes has been mentioned. I think Arvid Barnes would be a great signing for West Ham. We can get him at a decent fee. I think he's the sort of player that West Ham can develop over a period of time. And I'm nervous about next season. I'm not as optimistic as others. I think once I start seeing signs, I might look at it a bit different. But at the minute, when you're losing your captain, and he's our talisman for the last few years, it's a major sort of blow to us. But if we can go out and buy the right players to fit this system that Moyes wants to play, and he has to stick with this one system this year, because last season he played 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3-4-3, 5-3-2, all these systems, and he didn't really know the best one, in my opinion. He really didn't.
No, I agree, mate. Let me take some quick chats before you go, James. Thank you very much for contribution, mate. Apparently, we haven't got a great deal to spend due to the 3-year financial fair play. Surely, for good new director of football coming in, he's been promised money to spend £100 million for Rice and a bit more. I would guess that he's got all that to spend. Apparently, Paqueta is on is on Newcastle's radar. Well, of course he will be, because he's a quality player, but I don't think he'll be going this year. Steedman came from Leverkusen. They buy players that can play in a positive fashion. How does that marry up with Moyes? Soap opera incoming. Well, there we go. It's a super chat from Damien Dim Amacchio. Says Antonio, he loves him. I don't think he'd be with us. Dino H says Mabama, Potts and Skulls look decent prospects. Give them a go. Yeah, that is a point. We've got a good youth team that we could look for. A couple of sort of squad players in there, get them involved in the first team. But James, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate you coming on. Cheers, mate.
All, gentlemen.
Take care, mate.
There we go. I'm not looking at the. Jake Hammond says, Arsenal fan here. Would you take £90 million plus Eddie Nketiah? Mate, if you want to drop a couple of £1 million around my house, you can come drop it around my house. So you're not getting nothing for it. I don't do the deals, mate. But yeah, I think I would. I think I would do that. 90 million Nketiah if I was in charge of West Ham.
I don't know. I'll take 90 million plus Smith Rowe if they want to give us him.
I don't think they're going to give us him. Jordan Knight says it shouldn't be bidding with anyone for Arsenal anyway. They're going to turn down all of our bids in the future apparently, because we wouldn't give them Rice. Jordan Knight, do you see a future for calling out West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying there about someone about replacing Antonio, I think that's the way Moyes wants to play Cornet next season. is use him as a versatile player like he is with Antonio. Because I don't know if Antonio will be at a football club next season. I think he may be moving in the summer, but Cornet, he's hard to judge. We done a video last week and we was talking about him, and it's hard to judge him because he's had such a mixed season. He's, when he started off with us at the beginning of the season, he was brilliant for Burnley, and then when he started off, you thought first few games, yeah, he looks decent. Then he got that long injury, and it just took him so long to get back into the squad. He hardly featured, did he? He come on as a sub now and again. So a good pre-season for him, and you never know, he could be a different type of player next season.
I think that happened to a few of them last year as well. None of them really got going. Aguirre had a couple of injuries. Scamacca had a couple of injuries. Cornet, Downs didn't play much. So, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I think it's going to be the last one. Finley Jackson. He's going to come on. How you doing, Finley?
How are we, boys?
I'm all right, mate. Turn your phone around the other way if you can.
Hang on. I've got Declan behind me, waiting for it all to be over.
That is. Want a Canning Town lens?
Yeah, got straight in there, bought it. It's beautiful. I think, like a lot of people have said, I'm just kind of waiting for the whole transfer saga to be over now. As much as I love Dec, everything he's done for the club, I think it's dragging on a little bit now. Obviously, like a lot of people, my preference would be for him to go Man City. I think a lot depends on what bids are going to come in the next few days, whether the bidding war actually sort of kicks off. But I mean, me personally, I've always been a little bit nervous about this summer, just in terms of thinking, we have to use the Dec money as best we can. We don't want to be in a situation like when Spurs got rid of Bale and they're bringing in more deadwood and not actually sort of evolving the squad. So I think that was my worry. But this German fella coming in, that's filled me with a bit more confidence, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And the what you said there about Spurs is spot on. I remember when they sold Bale and then they went out and bought about 6 or 7 players.
Yeah.
And after a year or two, they was all leaving the football club. I don't think any of them worked out. And that's the one thing that does worry me. We have to go out, and for me, you can always get a few players from abroad, but you need to get proven Premier League players as well. And I think we need to look at the Leicester situation, because you got 2 players there, Maddison and Barnes, that you could chuck 90 million. You pay 90 million for them too, probably. They're to be 2 great additions for West Ham. But it's going to be a lot of our work because people know how much we've got to spend. That's where the downfall is because. And look, Leicester have got all their rights to ask whatever they want. We're doing the same with Declan Rice. So it's the way football is at the moment. I remember years ago when we was all having a panic attack because we spent 5 million on Don Hutchinson in 2001. And that was a lot of money back then. So like now we're talking like West Ham, talking about £100 million players. It's ridiculous. It's crazy how football's changed.
I think Harvey Barnes is probably the signing I'd like to get done first, like if I could really. I think he'd be a great addition, dynamic, a lot of pace, similar to Bowen in lots of ways. And I think he would, just be the perfect addition to that forward line.
Someone was saying to me about Harvey Barnes and would he take Ben Rama's? But I think if Harvey Barnes come into West Ham, you could have Bowen, Barnes and Ben Rama there in the middle. I think that would suit him. I think it'd be perfect for him, and it could be a great addition. It will be a great addition to West Ham if we can get Harvey Barnes. He's a player that excites me.
I think we need to figure out the striker situation as well, because obviously, Scamacca's future's up in the air, Mick's future's up in the air. I don't think we'll be able to unload Danny Ings. I don't think anyone will want to pay the wages for him. That one hasn't particularly worked out. I mean, me personally, I'm disappointed with the Scamacca thing because I thought he'd maybe consider giving it one more year. Doesn't necessarily look that way now, but I thought he was very unlucky in his first season with injuries, showed lots of promise, and he was gonna stick around for a couple of years maybe.
The thing is with Danny Ings is it hasn't worked out for him, and it's a shame. But look, he leaves West Ham with something that no players have done for 43 years with
Of
a
course.
winner's medal. You know, he'll always be remembered in that group of players. But he could be used as a sort of, you know, he would suit the Championship. So if you're looking to sign Barnes from Leicester, money plus Ings, I think he'd suit Leicester. The way they play, he's obviously lived up in the Midlands before, so he could be part of a deal to see him leave the football club and bring someone in.
I think even with the deck deal, you know, my preference would probably be to get a player out of the deal, which is why it sort of baffles me with the Arsenal thing. They're fanning around with the money, but it's like, you know, if you don't want to pay what we've asked for, less money's fine, but offer us something of value in terms of a decent player, like you boys mentioned, the Smith Rowe.
You could just imagine David Sullivan going, "Give us 100 million plus Erling Haaland, and we're taking it."
I mean, yeah, obviously, I would be surprised, you know, if he picked Arsenal over City if it comes to it. But I think the problem we've got is a lot of what you read sounds like he's given his word to Arsenal and no one else. So it does sort of still sound like that's truly what he wants for his career, you know.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that he's given his word to anyone. I mean, you know, if you would have believed what I've read over the last few weeks, he would have been an Arsenal player already. I don't believe that.
I know that he's a big fan of Arteta, though. And that's one of the reasons why he wanted to join Arsenal, is to play for Arteta. But the thing is, with Arsenal, they go 5 or 6 games without winning. Their fans will be wanting Arteta out. So Arteta might not even be there in 6 months' time. So Rice has got, for me, if I was Declan Rice, you know, you had the choice to play for Guardiola or Arteta. You got to play for Guardiola. You want to play for the best man. A lot of players, you look in the last 15 years, a lot of players wanted to play for Jose Mourinho. They wanted to play for Alex Ferguson, Wenger before that. You know, want to play for top managers, because that's how you become a top player, because you learn so much off of these managers.
I think the Arsenal thing, I'd be wary as well, because, you know, the fickle nature of their fans. Obviously, I saw the video in the week with Nicky and Dan.
What did you think about that, Finley? Honestly, what did you think about that Arsenal fan?
I'll be honest, you know, that sort of attitude is everything I hate about the top 6 fans, and why I'm actually glad I've grown up a West Ham fan and been through sort of trials and tribulations, because I think it gives me a much more rounded, sort of unbiased view of football. I think fans like that, you know, just coming out of the old, "Oh, you're a nothing club, what the Conference League doesn't," all this kind of stuff, you know, it does anger me, and I find it hard not to bite, but at the same time I just try and let it go in one ear and out the other, because I know, you know, these guys are just talking crap most of the time, really, and I think you handled it very well on that video.
Well, they're not. They are not easy people to deal with. I'm gonna, you know, I know a lot of them guys, and you know, a lot of them guys are good friends of mine, but they are. I'm telling you now, mate, they're not easy people to deal with. They, you know, the problem I took, and I spoke about this on the Hammer It Out podcast this week, is that, you know, the problem I've got is that there is no club in the world that is irrelevant, that is a crap club. You know, there is, you know, especially like, you know, when you're talking about someone's passion like that, you know, I followed West Ham all my life. My mum and dad follow them. Their mum and dad follow them. Mum and dad before that, mum and dad before that. You know, it goes through generations and generations. They've done a lot in our community. You know, when we grew up in a poor area, they used to do a lot in our community when we used to go and play football with them. You know, they're not irrelevant. No club is irrelevant. You know, they're somebody's life. You know, at some point. You know, so like, yeah, like there's people saying it was pure arrogance. It was pure arrogance. It's, you know, and that's the thing that winds me up about this top 6. Not Man City, because I think Man City are of a different ilk, and that's why I prefer Man City. But these clubs like Arsenal, who the fuck are Arsenal right now? Who the fuck are Arsenal? Let's be honest. They come second in the league. They won nothing. Who are they right now in the terms of modern day football? You know, I mean modern day football, when all the you know, who are they? They're nobodies.
I think that's what you said there, mate. I think that's why City fans are different, because 20 years ago they was in Division 2, and they've seen the bad times, you know, and and they've grown up, and now a lot of these Arsenal fans were kids going through that generation of Arsene Wenger, winning the double, winning league titles, and then it gets taken. It's a bit like Man United fans now, grew up winning everything, and they haven't won the Premier League since 2012, 2013 was it? So they're getting the arrogance now. They think they're entitled to it, but as Finley said, we're West Ham fans. We always stay humble. And that's why we enjoyed winning the Conference League, because our generation haven't seen us win a major trophy, and we appreciate it. We appreciate that trophy, and if that's the only thing we ever see West Ham win, we'd appreciate it. But when teams see their team win, when fans see their team win trophy after trophy, and then that gets taken away from them, they don't like seeing the teams like West Ham winning trophies, because they think they're entitled to win it. But they're not. No one's entitled to win it. You've got to earn it. You've got to win football games.
Well, no, they think we should. Like it's like they come out. They're the Arsenal. They're the Arsenal. We're the Arsenal. We're so fucking what? You know what I mean? Like, we're the West Ham. And when it comes, they think that we should just sit there, let them tickle our bellies, take our best players, and it's their game. We're just a pawn in their game. At the end of the day, mate. And as I said this to them, in modern day football, apart from them people that have got billionaires, it's a lot fucking closer than they like to admit in terms of the league. Look at the type likes of Brighton that do it a different way. And Arsenal think they can come in and throw their weight about and lowball us on these bids. They can't, because there's other players.
We hold all the cards. We hold all the cards. We hold all the cards.
At the end of the day, in modern football, we don't want to sell Declan Rice. We don't have to. This ain't 1998 when Harry Redknapp's in charge, having to sell Andy Impey to fucking field the team. This is fucking 2023. We've just won a trophy. There's fucking so much money going about in the game that we don't have to sell him for 100 million. If we don't want to sell him, we don't have to.
I think it's embarrassing as well how many of these quote-unquote big teams have got rattled by us winning a trophy. A couple of weeks ago, that was, I'm 22. That was the best day of my life, obviously. I've seen a couple of playoff finals, but nothing in comparison to that. I was nervous the whole day, couldn't hold any food down. And, it was just something I'll remember for the rest of my life. And no one take that away from me. So to see how much it's rattled all these fans, it's not the Champions League, it's not the European Cup. Well, it's a European Cup. It's a major trophy. We've been starved of success. Let us have our moment, kind of thing. That's how I see it, really.
You're talking about like they're going to win the Champions League next year. Listen, they might win the Champions League, but if I go on 128 years worth of history, they haven't fucking won it any other year. So why have I got to believe that they're going to win it next year?
I mean, they tried.
They're asking. This is the problem with that whole conversation. They're asking me to take their beliefs. I'm looking at it analytically. Yeah, they finished second last year. Yeah, they had a good season, right? But they're asking me to blindly believe that they're going to be the team that challenge year. As I said before, I heard this when the Invincibles, when they went the league unbeaten, they was going to be the team to dominate for the next decade. They didn't, because there was a team there, Chelsea, with money that leapfrogged them into that position. The same way Newcastle have got money now. They've just got into the Champions League. There's so many parallels with Newcastle and what Chelsea done. They told me they was going to dominate for the next decade with the team they had and the way they're building. And this is the project. This is the team that everyone wants to be part of. They all fucking left. Within 2 years, Henry had gone.
I think their fans have a lot of nerve as well, because, a lot of them are almost saying it as if we've had their pants down, when evidently it's the other way around. Obviously X reported that first bid was only 60 million up front, and that's how much they were willing to pay for Kai Havertz. To me, it's an insult, really, when publicly we've said for over a year he won't go unless it's 100 million or over. I don't know why it's such a shock to people that these bids are just getting swatted away so quickly.
And this is why I love it that West Ham are in the position where we hold all the cards. It's down to us. If we don't get what we want, we keep Declan Rice and we win. And I think that Declan Rice will carry on next season. If that's the case, he won't down tools. He'll play on.
Do you think like if he was to stay, we'd be limited? And do you believe all this stuff like selling him would make up most of our transfer budget and that sort of stuff?
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm honest.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think him staying would like limit? Would it be difficult in terms of what we could do, where we could look to add? Do you think?
I think the way I mean, listen, I love Declan Rice, and I don't want him to ever leave this football club. But I think in a way, it will be a good thing if he does leave the football club,
Yeah.
because as you said, it will allow us to go out and buy other players. Because if he don't leave now, he's going to leave next season. He's always going to leave the football club. So for him to go out on a high, lifting a trophy, I think will be perfect for him. For us to get the most money we can will be perfect for us. And look, over the last 10 years, we've seen players come and go. We've seen Pint. We didn't want Pint to go. Everyone thought, oh, and then we get an Arnautovic, and Arnautovic comes along, he leaves, and then you go and you get a Declan Rice. New heroes will always come along. Players, that's the part of football. Players either leave or retire. You have to move on, so we'll be all right, and it'll be good for us to get as much money as we can, bring in 5 or 6 players with the money we've got as well from Europe last season. And I think we'll be all right. I think we'll always miss Declan Rice, and I think he'll always get respect when he comes back, and he will always show us respect. But yeah, we have to move on. Football moves on, and who knows? Football's a funny game. Declan Rice could be back at West Ham in a few years' time. Maybe want to finish his career at West Ham. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Finley, thank you so much for your contribution, mate. Let me take
Thanks
a few.
a lot, guys.
Thank you, mate. Let me take a few chats before we start logging off. Billy Barrett says, "Do you still have £2, by the way? Thank you very much. Do you still have Ogfather jumpers, Nick?" Yes, we do, mate. They're on our site. I've got a couple more things to show you before I take some comments as well. Seeing as you bought up the t-shirts, we've got some new European t-shirts, as well as the other European ones that was on there. We've got some winners t-shirts. So let's have a look at this one, right? The Italian job.
Yeah, I like that one.
David Moyes.
Someone hitting him.
Someone's clumped him, with a cup.
Yeah, it weren't Nosey hit him, did he?
We've got a champion of Europe. They also come in white, so it's the colours of the kit of the night.
Cool.
And
I'm glad that comes in white.
Yeah, it does come in
Mango
white.
Man in that.
And the cups, mate. The mugs.
That's better than the trophy for me. That's beautiful. That is.
What a cup that is. But they're all available on our store. The link is in the description down below if you want to get any of them. And if you're Patreon, you get a discount code as well. So there we go. Let me take some more comments just before we start logging off. When Chicharito became a hammer, I became a hammer. He left and not me. I stayed. Witness glory in history, says Randy Jackson. Thank you very much, Randy. Lincoln Harper says Nick's riled now. I think he's going on about my my Arsenal rant. Shouldn't even be called Arsenal. They took the name from South London. They should be called Islington FC. Fucking name thieves. I love the way ESL clubs tell us what and how we should celebrate. It's only a conference. We waited 40 years for that, and it felt like 2 times Champions League winners in that stadium. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. The ECFL won't be accepted as a major trophy until one of the Big 6 clubs win it. Yeah, they will win it. They will win it. Arsenal, the Tottenham of North London now, says Nick. And anti-stupid, not Vac, says Rice ain't worth anywhere near that either. Rice is worth what we say he's worth and what we are willing to let him go for. So there we go.
Rice is priceless to us.
Right, before we wrap up, right, I'll bring up one more subject. European ban. We've got a 1-game European ban for that. Failing to control our players. We've got, I said, like 50 grand fine, which I'm sure the club ain't going to be too fucking upset about. But the one thing is, we got a 1-game European away ban for obviously the Europa League next year. Is that fair?
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I thought it was going to be a bit worse. I thought it could have been all the away games, like the group games. I think it's 2 games in it, 1 suspended. So, it looks like it's going to be 1 game. I just hope that it's not a big team. I hope it's not against a team that West Ham never usually get to play against. Look, it was ridiculous what the fans were doing, chucking the cups and vape and that. And look, it was always going to happen. As I said, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. So I'll take that. I'll take that little 50 grand fine and the one game. I just hope that it's not against a good team. I hope it's in a right shit place. I hope we get Frankfurt because no one would want to go back there.
I don't think they're in it. I think they're in the Conference League.
Yeah.
AZ, what did AZ get? Someone's asking. Do you know?
I heard that didn't they get a stadium ban for 4 games or something, 4 home games?
I thought it was 4 games. Yeah,
and I think they got a big fine as well. So yeah,
I think
this is why I've always been a supporter of not having, especially in the Premier League, having drinking in the seats because that's what happens. That's what happens. People will throw things at players. When they score, they'll chuck beer in the air. It just causes more arguments, chucking beer over people, chucking cups on the pitch. And that's why I'm sort of glad that you're not allowed to drink in your seats at the football.
Yeah, I do agree. One thing I would say, though, mate, is that the people chucking cups are at the other end of the fucking stadium. I was at the other end, yeah? So me and you have got to face a stadium ban for some prick up the other end of the stadium. They've got enough technology now, mate. Identify the people that done it and ban them for life.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's the club that gets the punishment, and unfortunately, we're part of that club, and the fans have to suffer because of a few idiots who've seen it down the years. You know, one person does something, and we got a stadium ban last year in the Europa League because people bursting through the gates and things like that. So this is the thing with the 9 o'clock kickoffs, all day drinking. This is what happens. People do silly things in football grounds and the emotions and the moment. And look, the Fiorentina players weren't helping the way they was diving and play acting and not letting the game flow. And it was a big game for us, big game for West Ham fans, you know, something we're not used to. So there was a lot of emotions, nerves, and but it don't make it right. And unfortunately now we've all got to suffer because of them people.
Yeah. Let me take some more comments before we go. Ace Gaming says, got his first season ticket today. 3 years of waiting for one. So happy. Well done, mate.
Welcome to the season ticket club, mate.
Welcome to the club. Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it's a good first season for you.
No Raincoat says, make sure ban is for the final. Imagine that. RW West Ham Forever, probably a deserved ban, to be fair. Not right, but kind of expected with how there was a constant cheating by Fiorentina and, of course, fans drinking all day. Fans don't always react rationally. Absolutely. AZ inquiry has been held by the police, not UEFA. The FA will always have to wait for a police inquiry to finish before they can act. And I don't think AZ have been punished yet as a police investigation with UEFA. There we go. So that's the show tonight. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. You know, it's a little bit different to what we normally do, but if you enjoyed it, let us know. And yeah, we'll do a few more of these.
It's nice to get. It was nice to get different people's views and not nice to talk to different, because usually it's just like either like me, you, Dan, and Scott, or Graham pops up once every 6 months for a laugh. But yeah, no, it was nice to have different people on, different views, different conversations, and really enjoyed it, mate. Yeah, nice.
Somebody's asking about Friday Night Pint Live.
Yeah, that is something we're going to look into. Obviously, it was a bit hard to try to organise when it was in a relegation battle. You don't want to have a big party when you've just been relegated. But
yeah,
now we've stayed up and we're European champions. Yeah, we can get something into get something planned and in the diary, and hopefully, I think, didn't we do it on the eve of the Premier League season last time?
I think we did, mate. If we're going to do it, we should probably aim for them.
Yeah, because we I'm sure didn't we play Newcastle opening game of the season on the Sunday?
Yeah, we did,
didn't we? We done it on the Friday.
Yeah, I had to fucking drive up there.
Yeah, no, that was a great night, and hopefully, we'll find the location, get some guests, and we're get on it, mate.
One question before we go, Ryan. This is the last one. I enjoyed it. Didn't get to hear Ryan's thoughts on Cindy Bill coming back, but that's for next week, I suppose. All the best.
Oh, yeah, mate. Cindy Bill, Lauren, everyone was back. Cindy Bill's back, Nick.
Yeah.
I thought
she was dead.
No, well, yeah, but no one ever see her funeral, mate.
There we go.
Apparently, she's been on witness protection since 1998.
Fucking hell. Well done,
Ian
Cindy.
Gill had an heart attack. I was
Sounds
waiting for
brilliant.
David.
I'm going to catch up right now.
I was waiting for
Thank you
David
very much
Wicks
for joining
to
us.
turn up.
Sorry?
I said I was waiting for David Wicks to turn up.
Yeah, fucking dirty den. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. We'll see you next week. Don't forget, you can check out our new t-shirts in the store right now if you want to go and have a look at them. If you want to become a patron, listen to me and Brian on the Hammer It Out podcast, you can do that as well. Link is in the description down below. If you're new around here, subscribe. We're on our road to 70,000, and then we're going to be on a road to 100,000. I want a fucking YouTube plaque this year, by the way. So get your mates subscribing, get people signing up. I'm going to be pushing it this year massively for that 100K.
If we get that plaque, do we have it 1 week each?
You can have it.
No, I don't want it. We'll give it to Graham.
Yeah, we'll give it to
We'll
Graham.
see it
Yeah,
once
he's the
every
one
year.
that deserves it. He's done all the work. But
we get replicas.
yeah, absolutely. But thank you very much. One thing left to say. Come on, you
Come
Irons.
on, you Irons.